Okay, so we're going to be looking now at our indexing guide. And what I want to do is here are all the dimensions. This is kind of a grainy looking illustration. So I know I had a look at a couple of these dimensions. The dimension here for the width of the slot to get started is 0.625. Okay. And then the dimension for the entire width of the bottom, and actually, you know, the top two, is 1.75. Okay. I think the other ones are okay. And oh, this one too is 0.75. Okay, 0.75. So so other than that, we'll be following exactly what they do. And I think those are the dimensions that they have. So so let's take a peek at what we're going to be doing. We need to create an auxiliary view, right? And the reason we need to create an auxiliary view is because this is at an angle. So if I look straight down at it, or from the right or the left side, I am going to be seeing these holes as like ovals, right? And with that, that means that I would not be able to dimension them. Okay, now we haven't gotten to dimensioning yet, but I've been telling you, you have to dimension in the view where we see it as its true size and shape. So we need to see the view where we see those holes as circles. Okay. Additionally, the radius that we see here as well. Okay. So we need to create an auxiliary view looking like straight on to that surface. Let's look at our drawing guide. I want to remind everybody that we do have the drawing guides here. And they've been a part of, I think, the last, including this one, the last 3 assignments. Okay. So what these are here for you to do, because I realize having, you know, maybe not done drawings like this before, and especially, you know, creating the views and auxiliary views and being more formal about it, it's nice to know, am I doing it right? Okay. And additionally, it gives you the opportunity to compare yours to what it should look like. And then that way, if you are missing something, it maybe generates questions, or you might also have the, oh, I forgot that, I get that now, it makes more sense. And that's really the purpose of it. You still have to go through the process of creating it, but at least you have a guide to know if you're on the right track or not, or if you got everything. And then what I want you to do is really use this as your kind of informal rubric before you upload your assignments. Okay. And then that way you're going to avoid, you know, losing points and having to do it again. But just take a peek at these and take the time to look at them to make sure that it all makes sense, that yours matches what you see here, so that then you know that you have, you know, everything that you need to. And again, if something doesn't, if you're unclear about why something is the way it is, then that's where you ask a question. Okay. So anyway, so this is what we're going to be doing. So you'll notice we have a front and we have a top view. Now, I didn't add a right side view. You could if you wanted to, but as we get into dimensioning, this is also going to make more sense. We have to make sure that we show every feature in at least one view where we see it as true size and shape. And we end up doing that for this part of the angled surface in that auxiliary view. So this ends up being our third view instead of having another primary view that we can't dimension. Okay. So front and top here with an auxiliary view kind of fits the requirements of what we need to do in terms of showing the features and making sure that they're true size and shape. Okay. So this is what we're aspiring to. Where I'm going to start is I'm going to start on my front view, get this in place. I'm going to then start my top view, kind of get that in place. And then I'll probably do my auxiliary view last. Okay. And sometimes it might be even working on a couple of the things, you know, simultaneously between the views. You don't have to complete one view before you go to the next. You sometimes have to go, you know, between them to generate them or to construct them as you're working. Okay. But I'm going to start in the front view. So I'm going to pull up AutoCAD, and I already did. Ooh, my cursor. Let me go to tools. Sorry, I'll get this back to white. I was working on something else that I needed to change the color of my cursor. It's drafting, colors, and I'm going to go to my crosshairs, and I want that to be white. That way it shows up better in the background here. And then I'll not the aperture. Which one is display? Yeah, crosshairs. I'm going to make it a little smaller. There we go. Okay. So it's not like crazy big. So what we're going to do is we are going to start on that front view. I'm going to use my 0, 0. It's never a bad idea to kind of ground your views, especially if you know that your geometry is going to be used maybe in some other applications besides just CAD. So I'm going to start my lower kind of left-hand corner at that 0, 0. So I'm going to start with a line. I'm going to start at 0, 0, and I have my ortho on. I'm going to go to the right. And let's just kind of look underneath here so you can see why I'm doing what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so I'm in this lower left-hand corner right here. That's my 0, 0. So I want to draw the bottom, the bottom, the bottom, all the way over. Now, you'll notice that our dimension comes from this corner right here. All right, and that's okay. That's no problem. We're gonna go up, and what we want to do is we want to kind of draw this over. So let me go back over here, and I'm just going to draw it 2.5 plus I'm just going to go long enough so that I can offset it. There we go. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to rethink this. I was going to do one thing and I'm going to do something else. This is going to be my 0, 0, not my corner. This is going to be my 0, 0, because that's where this dimension is actually coming from. And then we're going to offset down. I'm sorry for leading you astray. We're going to offset down. What is that thickness? 0.375. Okay. So, so this corner right here where the dimension is coming from, that's my 0, 0. So let's go back to AutoCAD. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to put on my line width so we can see that it's on my object line. And I'm going to do an offset here. Now I type in offset, otherwise the icon is up here. And my offset distance is going to be 0.375. Select it, move your cursor in the direction you want to go, and then we're going to go there. Okay. Now we can't use this corner because what's going to happen is you'll notice that, and it's going to make more sense when we see the geometry. This is going to kind of shift back a little bit. It's not going to be perfectly in line here, and the dimension is coming from that surface. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my a vertical line that's going to be, long enough to be as tall as our angled surface, because then we're going to rotate this back. So I'm going to go line to that end point, and I'm just going to go vertically up a distance. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate this so that it's going to be at the angle that I need it to be. So it looks like, as we go back underneath, I have 60 degrees from here. Okay, from there. So that means it from horizontal, it's 60 degrees even to that surface. But remember, I'm going from vertical. Okay, so if this is 60, that means I'm going to rotate 30 degrees in a positive direction or counterclockwise. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go up to the rotate command. You can key it in if you want. And I need to first select the object. Make sure that you're watching your command line. Select the object I'm going to rotate. Then I'm going to hit enter. And now we want to specify the base point. The base point is going to be down here at my 0, 0. So you could key in 0, 0, or go down here, grab that end point. Okay. Now I have my ortho on. I'm going to turn my ortho off. And I want to go like right about there, right? And that's going to be 30 degrees counterclockwise, which is the positive direction. So we want to specify 30 degrees here. And there we go. Okay. Now we're going to offset this, our 0.375 as well. So I'm going to do another offset, 0.375. I didn't really need to put that back in because it was already there. And then I'm going to offset in that direction. So I'm going to bring this corner together now. That's a sharp corner. So I'm going to do a fillet. Okay. Since this is my first fillet, it's going to have a radius of 0, but it doesn't hurt to check. So I always go R, enter. And if I look at the bottom here, you'll notice in those brackets is 0. So that's good. That means it's going to make a sharp corner. There's not going to be a radius. So I'm just going to hit enter to confirm that. And then I'm just going to go up and click each one of those. So that's why I couldn't use this corner. See how the dimension is coming from that top corner, and this one ends up moving back. So it's not the same distance from the bottom, okay? All right, so now let's kind of go back and figure out what we need to do here. So, let's see, underneath here. So now I gotta kind of know like how long this is. So I know that it's 2.5 inches to the center line right here, right? And if my width is 1.75, that means it's going to be an additional half of 1.75. What's half of 1.75? Do we know? Do we have the ability to determine what that is? Half of 1.7, half of 1 is half, right? 0.875, I think, right? So we have to take now, oh crap, 2.5 plus 0.875. What's that number? Do we know? What's that number? I know. There's probably some way, something we can do. Oh. Anybody have the number? I know how I would get it. What's the number? How would we find the sum of 2.5 and 0.875? Probably looking at me is not going to make it happen. What could we do? Does anybody have any ideas? Noble has an idea. What do you get your calculator out? Oh my goodness. Does everybody have their calculator here? You guys don't walk around without a calculator in your pocket, do you? No, you don't. You have your phone. Yes. Noble, what did you get? 2.5 plus 0.875. I don't even know if you're doing the problem with us, but I'm nominating you now because oh, I've got somebody in my chat, my virtual people. A calculator. Thank you, Ashton. What did you get on your calculator when you plugged it in? Anyone? This could go on forever if we don't. It is. Yep. 3.37 or 3.375. I don't know. I'm a bit terrible in my head. I'm actually calculator dependent. I don't know. I haven't plugged it in. You have one on your phone, people. This is like, use your phone. Your teachers don't normally say this. It's Friday. Can you tell I'm a little like giddy? So we've got 3.375. I need confirmation from somebody because we want to always double check our numbers, put them in twice. Not that I don't believe you, Noble. I'm confident in your addition skills. What? I'm doing this problem for you. No, I'm trying to figure out. 2.5 and 0.875. Could be a long 4 weeks yet. Come prepared. That's what I need you to do. Come prepared, engaged. What'd you get? Did you get 3.375? Awesome. Okay, here we go. So now it's confirmed. We're going to take this vertical line right here and we're going to offset it to the right, that distance of 3.375. So I'm going to do offset. Here, there we go. I got to activate my screen. Offset 3.375, enter. And we're going to go from that inside corner right here to the right. Okay. And now what we can do, we can either extend and then trim, or we can do fillets with radiuses of 0. That's what I'm going to do because then it trims it automatically as we go. So we're going to go to fillet and I'm going to put my radius in and it's going to be 0. See, fillet. Did I hit the wrong thing? Fillet, radius. Yep, it's still 0. And now I'm going to click my top and here, and then enter here and there. Okay, so that's going to be the length in the front. So I've got that front part done. Okay, questions so far? Ashton, you said, wait, what do you need? What do you, oh, 5.37. No, it should be 3.375. That sounds reasonable. Okay. So now what we can do is I'm going to actually start generating my top view and kind of bring it back. What were the numbers? 2.5 plus the numbers, Ashton, are 2.5 plus 0.875. Okay. All right, so let's do our top view now. Okay. So let's go back and look. So we're going to look straight down on this. So I'm going to start at this point right here. We're going to make this rectangle first, and then we're going to bring this around. Okay. So we're going to kind of get that view of the slot and the rounded corner. Okay. So I'm going to move that down. I'm going to go line, and I'm going to start in this corner here because that's kind of where the whole view starts. And I'm going to kind of put this in line. And what I have activated on my toolbar at the bottom is show snapping reference lines. So I'm going to kind of activate that corner, go straight up, straight up, straight up. And then I'm going to start my line. Put the ortho back on so that I have a vertical line. And this is where I want to enter in the width of my part. So the width of my part is that 1.75. And then I'm going to go over to the right, and I need to be not in line with this edge, because remember, this is my rounded edge. I want to get to where the center line of that is. And that dimension, if you look in here, is going to be 2.5 from that corner. 2.5. There we go. Then I'm going to go straight down, and then I want to create a rectangle here. And then I'm going to hit C for close, or you can go back to that endpoint. Okay. Now, this is going to be okay. This is going to be the center of that radius then. Okay. So I'm going to go up to my circle with a radius. Circle with a radius. And I need to find the midpoint of this line. Okay. So I don't have it on my running object snap. So I need to do my shift right mouse button, find the midpoint. Okay. So it has that triangle. I'm going to click. That's going to be the center of my radius. And then I'm going to go to the endpoint. There we go. Okay. Then we can trim away the part of the circle that we don't need, which is this interior part. And I can I can erase that vertical line now. Okay. Okay. Not a bad idea to do a save because we've constructed some stuff. So file, I need to do a save as. And I'm going to go to where I save my stuff, tech drafting. And this is the indexing base. Oops. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go 10 because it's chapter 10. It's just a different one. There we go. I don't know why it creates these messages. Oh, there's something in my chat. My computer died, but I'm back. Okay, thanks, Corinne. I'm glad. I thought I let you in earlier. Okay. Glad you're back. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put our slot in place here on the top. So I'm going to grab my circle diameter. Okay. And we're gonna share the same center as that radius. So you got to kind of activate the outside here. If you have your object snaps, you're running object snaps with the center, then you're gonna be good. So I'm gonna click on that, and then you're gonna notice that if we go back and we look underneath here, I want to create the circle right here, and it's gonna have a diameter of 0.625. Okay. So diameter of 0.625. There we go. Now I'm going to copy, and I'm going to place another circle 0.75 to the left of this circle, because that's going to be the other side of my slot. So I'm going to do a copy command. I'm going to copy this circle. Okay. And then I'm going to hit enter, and my base position is going to be right here. Okay. And then now what I want to do is I want to go relative to that point. I want to move this to the left 0.75. So I'm going to say at, and then it's going to be negative 0.75. Yep. Comma 0. Okay. There it is. Now I'm going to do my lines that are tangent, actually on the because these are straight, they're going to be on the quadrants. So line again, quadrant, quadrant. Make sure you're grabbing your object snaps. And then I'm going to get rid of the parts that I don't need. Okay. So now that I have this in place, I can bring these back down to my front view, right? So I'm going to change my line type to be hidden. And then I'm going to do my line. And I'm going to activate that quadrant. And then I'm going to have that snapping line to come down. So when I get down here and I grabs that intersection, I'm going to click, and then I'll be perpendicular, click. And then I can hit escape. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to grab my line, go to that quadrant, follow it down. Don't click the quadrant. Wait till you get all the way down. Click and click. Such a nice tool. And it works a lot of the time. Sometimes it may take a couple tries to get the point activated where you get those green lines going, but it works really nicely. It avoids having to do that additional trimming. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the center lines. Okay. I can't do the center line where I click here and here because my center line actually needs to be through the center here and through the center here because it's a slot as opposed to just a circle. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to my center line, and this is going to be a manual. So I'm going to do a line with it on the center line layer. I'm going to activate this center of that circle. I'm going to follow my line down. And then remember, I have to be, for center lines, they extend outside of the part a little ways. So right about there. And this becomes wherever it looks good. Okay, so I've got that one there, and I'm going to do the next one. Line again, activate that center, come down, and right about there, and right about there. Okay. Now, you'll notice that my center lines do not show that little, the little gap. So I'm going to activate each one of these, okay? And then I'm going to right-click, and then I'm going to hit Properties, and I'm going to change the line type scale. And the reason I'm doing it individually is because my hidden lines look good. All right. If I would do LT scale, it's going to do it for the entire drawing. Okay. And it will also include those hidden lines and the center lines. Okay. So that's why I'm doing these individually, because only the center lines I need to worry about. So I'm going to start with 0.5 and see how that looks. Oh, it didn't do anything. Dang it. So I'm going to click them again. And I'm going to go 0.25. There we go. Okay. So, so there we have it. Now we can see the little center lines. They look like center lines as opposed to just lines. And that's important to do that. I want you guys to do those fixer-uppers. I didn't say that right. Okay. And as long as I'm on my center line type, I'm going to go over to annotate, and I'm going to do my center mark right away for the insides of my slot. Okay. I'm going to do one here, and I'm going to do one here. Awesome. Okay. It's already done. Okay. Go back to my object line because I'm probably going to continue on. Any questions so far? Not a bad idea to do a quick save, right? Okay, cool. Now we've got to kind of work on like this stuff, and it's probably going to require us to do our auxiliary view. All right, so let's kind of take a peek at, or at least start getting started on it. We're here. So we know that from that corner up to the center of that hole is 1.125, right? And then to the top of our part, from that very same center to the top of our part, has a radius of 0.375. So from that corner all the way up, how tall is that? How tall is that along that length? It would be 1.125 plus 0.375. Is that 1.5? Is that 1.5? Yeah, I think it is. I'm not good in my head. That's something you're going to learn about me. I say I'm calculator dependent, and that's okay. You just have to know that about yourself. Now, to get this offset, all right, what I need to do, I'm actually going to get rid of, do I want to get rid of that line? I don't think I do. I'm going to use this line that I have right here, this vertical line that I used to offset and construct the other end. But this time I need it to be perpendicular to this line right here. I need it to be like perpendicular here. So how will I get this line right here rotated to be perpendicular to this? How would I do that? Any ideas? Because I want to go from this corner and I want to go up 1.5. I want to offset that up 1.5, but I need to be perpendicular. What is the angle I would rotate this line? Let's go back. So I've got this line coming down right here, and I want to rotate it so it's going to be perpendicular to that line. I know it's doing geometry this morning. Man. What would that angle be? So if I'm here, right, and I want to be perpendicular, what would that angle be? 210. Let's see. Let's try. 210. All right. So I'm going to rotate this line right here. And I want to rotate it so it's going to be perpendicular to this line right here so that it swings around. So we'll try 210. So the base point is going to be right here. And Aaron said, let's go 210. I think that's the angle, right? So if I want to be perpendicular, what would I do? So let me do an undo on that. Okay, undo.
How would it be perpendicular if it's from that angle point?
I want to swing this so that it's a line, and I'm going to construct the line. I want this line to be perpendicular to here. This is how I want it. I want to rotate this line so it's perpendicular this way. Yep. So what would the angle be that I need to swing this through? Let's try it. Sounds reasonable. And this is what we do. Sometimes we might not know exactly, but if you're like, I think it might be, try it. 60. Negative 60, you're saying? Okay, specify my base point. Oopsie, I'm gonna do that first. Here's my base point. Wow, now rotate, select, specify that base point. And you said negative 60?
Yeah.
Let's try negative. I know, well, we'll try it. Negative, oh, there it is. Okay, negative 60 was it. Now that's how I did mine. So now what I'm going to do from that corner, I'm going to offset this up 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to say offset, or you can click the icon, 1.5, enter. And from here up is going to be that distance. Okay. Now we're going to do a fillet, and we're going to get these, enter, and get those trimmed off. Okay. And now I don't need this line anymore. I don't need that line. Right. You'll have to watch the recording then. Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know why there wasn't line to snap to the 7 points, even like get that first pop.
This is something I do all the time, and I feel like it helps. Do you turn your computer off between when you when you are done using it and then you transport it and you bring it here? A lot of my kids don't do that, and then they'll have problems with their computer, and I'll be like, you gotta, I don't know. I feel like whenever I'm not using it, if I'm done using it, I literally shut it down. So that way, whenever because if you, I like think of it as you cross all these like Wi-Fi's and all this kind of stuff, and it's trying to connect, it's like doing that in the background, even though it's sleeping. And then I think it just needs to be reset. So sometimes that might help, especially with software like AutoCAD. I mean, I think if you're just in a browser, it's probably not a big deal, or if you're just using Microsoft Word or things like that. But softwares that are, like a bigger deal, if you would. They, I think, need that ability to kind of clear out all their cache. Is that the technical term? So that's okay. All right. Anyway, so we're gonna move on here. So we are going to now pull, and we're going to create our auxiliary view down here. So let's take a peek at our guide. Okay, that's right here. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to be creating construction lines that are going to come down. All right, because we are looking straight up, and like this edge right here is in line with that edge. This center line is in line with that center line. This edge is in projection with that line. And then what we're going to do now, as I had told you the last time we were together, it is perfectly acceptable to create a partial auxiliary view of just the area that you need the details for, because really the only part that we can't dimension in the other two views is where we see these radiuses and these circles so that we can get their locations. Okay. The rest of it, like the slot location, we're going to get from the top view. So we're not, even if we generate the rest of that view, it's going to first of all take up space on our drawing. And number two, we're not going to dimension it in this view. The other point that I have is when we start using parametric solid modeling, which is going to be what you use out in industry, whether that is Creo, SolidWorks, whatever it might be, they're going to create those views for you, and it's going to be able to automatically generate it. So I want you to focus on the parts that we need the auxiliary view for, so that we can then do it here. So in AutoCAD, we have to manually construct this. So we are just going to do this portion, and then we have to create a break line. You have to do a break line that is jagged, because that shows that it is broken off. If you do a straight line, it looks like it's one of the features on the actual part, and that we don't want to do. Okay, so you have to do a break line, and it's a random break line. That's all that I created there. Okay, so I'm going to put construction lines down into this view. So let's go back to AutoCAD, and I'm going to change over to my construction lines here. And the first one that I'm going to grab is going to be along this line right here, which is convenient. So I'm going to go to construction line or X line, and I'm going to grab on one corner, then I'm going to grab on the other. Okay, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now, the other day when we were together, we had set up polar tracking. Okay, let's see if that can help us. So let's go to polar tracking, and let's do the down arrow. Now, our angles here are on 30-degree increments, right? So what we want to do is we want to kind of look here. Are there any that are on 30-degree increments? The first one is 90. So it's like 90, 180, 270. The one that's checked right now is at that 45, 90, then 135, and so on. So 45-degree increments. But our very next one is 30. So let's click that, because this is at that 60 degrees, or it's in 30-degree increments. By putting that in place, now it's going to snap to every 30 degrees on our angles, which will come in handy here for us. So I'm going to go to draw construction line, and I'm going to grab this corner right here, because I don't have like that diagonal to go along. So I'm going to click it, but it's going to be at the same angle. And now notice that when I hit that 30-degree increment, I can see it's parallel to the other one. So I can just click anywhere in there. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for this line right here. When I'm looking up in that direction, it is going to be a hidden line, but that's okay. So I'm going to go line here, and then, oops, I did line. Sorry. I want to do my construction line. So it goes in both directions. There we go. Okay. All right. Questions? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create the lines that are going to be perpendicular here. So again, we're going to do construction line, and I'm just going to start right about here. Okay. And here again, you can see they are going to increment, and they're going to snap to those 30-degree increments. So when I get to the point where I can be like, yeah, that's definitely perpendicular to those lines, I'm just going to do my second one. And then now I want to offset the width of that part, which we know to be 1.75. So I'm going to go to offset 1.75. And I'm going to go in that direction, and there we go. Okay, so now I have, if you would, the perimeter. I will be creating those radiuses, but I'll do those as fillets. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my object line. And now I'm going to start with the lines, and I'm going to grab the intersections that I have here. I am going to go past this one, because I'm going to then go past, and I'm going to create my cut point. And to do that, I can't grab, there's no intersection here. So I have to do shift right mouse button and simply do nearest. And then it's going to be able to allow you to grab on that line. And then I'm going to turn off polar snaps for just a minute, because I want this to be really random. Okay. And I want it to look like it's literally like cut off. Okay. And then I'm going to get back to the width over here. All right. And then I'm going to go up. And I want to find that, make sure I find that intersection. I could do close, actually. There we go. Make sure it's in there. Yep, it is. Okay. Do a quick file save. Now I'm going to add the line when I'm looking up in this direction. Remember, my line of sight is looking in this direction. I'm looking up at, I would see this edge right here. So that's going to be a visible line going all the way across. Okay. And then I'm going to be, if I look, I have to look through material to get to that point. So that's going to be a hidden line. So I'm going to change my layer to hidden. And I'm going to do the line here and here. There we go. Okay. File, save. All right, how are we doing so far? It's good. Let's just finish up this view. We don't just have, but holes. We're going to put the holes in the corners and those radiuses. So let's see what the dimensions are back on our drawing. So you'll notice that we have these two holes and then we have the radius to add. So the dimension for the holes is 1 inch apart. So that means we're going to assume that they're evenly distributed on here. And then they're going to be 1.125 from this corner right here. Okay, from that corner right there. So we aren't going to go from the outside corner. We have to go from that inside corner up 1.125. So now if this is 1.75 wide and this is 1 inch apart, evenly distributed off of one corner, that would be half of 0.75 is 0.375, right? If I'm doing my math right, double check me. So I'm going to do some offsets of my construction lines. So I'm going to go to my offset command. My first one is going to be the 1.125, enter. Now it is off of, remember this inside corner, it's up 1.125. So I'm going to take this construction line and I'm going to offset it up that 1.125. Okay, hit escape. And then I'm going to do another offset, and this time it's going to be 0.375 in, half of 3/4 of an inch. So 0.375, and I'm going to go in from here, in, and then it's the same distance from the other side. So as long as I'm here and I've got this, I have that, okay? And that's going to leave 1 inch here. If you need to check it, in this view, it would be an aligned dimension from here to here. There's my 1 inch, okay? And I'm not gonna save it, it was just to verify. Okay, so now at the intersection of here and here, I'm going to create my holes. Go back to my object layer, go to circle diameter, find that intersection, and the diameter is 0.375. It's that circle with the slash through it. And I can do that very same command again. It's not that hard. Or you could do a copy over to that intersection, but I'm right here. It's not. Kind of like a horse apiece, if you would. There we go. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is put the radius on the corners. Okay, those radiuses are 0.375. We can put those in as fillets. So I'm going to go fillet, select my objects, but I need to put my radius in first. I've been sharp corners. So I'm going to go R, enter, 0.375, enter. And we're going to go here to here. And then enter to redo it, here to here, and then escape. Oh, so good. So good. Now, because these are at an angle, we want our center lines, if you would, to be like with the view, okay? Somebody told me something yesterday or the other day, and they're like, well, they put the center mark in, so let me go on my center layer. They went to the center mark command, so annotate and then center mark. And I thought, yeah, of course. I wasn't using it intentionally because I'm like, oh, it's going to put it vertically. And it will. It's going to put it in vertically. It's going to put it in vertically. Okay. But all you got to do is rotate it, right? So that's what I'm going to do here. Rather than putting them in and trying to get to the right, that's actually more efficient. So I'm going to go back to the home. I can only rotate one at a time because I can only do it for one base point. So I'm going to select my center mark, enter. It's going to select the whole thing. And my base point is going to be that intersection, and I'm just going to rotate it 30 degrees, right? Yeah, 30. There we go. And now they're on the side. I'm like, yeah, that's so much easier than having to put them in separately. Go to that center and then go 30 degrees. It could be positive 30, negative 30. It's just going to go. There we go. Now they're in place. So file, do a quick save. All right, now we can bring these holes back in here, and then we'll be able to finish our view on top as well. So again, this is kind of like one of those cases where we're constructing multiple views at the same time, which is very common, very common. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to do the hidden lines first. So hidden lines, and we will. I think I'll be okay. So I'm going to go line. Should find the intersection because I have that center line in there, which is good. And now, oh, the snap lines are not going to grab. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. So what I'm going to do instead, actually, you tell me, what do you think I should do instead? How am I going to get those lines translated up there? There's a couple ways we could do it that I'm thinking of. So if I go back over here, what I want to do is I want to get those lines, my hidden lines, the rectangular view. So if I know this is 0.375, something, no, I want to see what you guys come up with. What do you think? How can I get those in there? Because they're not horizontal or vertical, I can't bring them from this intersection up, 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 up. They're not going to translate. Okay. So what are some options? Ideas? We use offset. Is anybody following along with me anymore? Hello, hello. Did you ever see Ferris Bueller? Huh? Oh, that's okay. But do you ever see Ferris Bueller? Anyone? Anyone? I know it's a really old movie, but it's so good. If you haven't seen it, there's one that if you have nothing to do, I don't know if it's on Netflix or YouTube or, I mean, it's an old movie. So good. But the instructor or the high school instructor is in front of the class and he's super boring and he's got like a monotone voice and he's like asking a question and nobody is answering. And he's like, anyone? No, no, that's Cheaper by the Dozen. Yeah, that's a good one too. All right. Anyway, that's how I feel right now. I feel like that instructor where nobody is listening to me. That's okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, because you're the one who actually requested this. I'm glad you're kind of listening.
I'm trying to catch up.
I know. It's just funny. I'm going to do offset. I don't know what anybody else wants to do. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to do offset. So I'm going to go to offset and it's going to be half this diameter in either direction off of that center line. So 0.375, I think that's going to be 0.1875 is going to be the radius. Enter. We'll see. Go in that direction. It looks good. And now I have the lines here that I can do. So I'm on my hidden line layer. I'm going to go to lines, this intersection, that intersection, line, intersection, intersection, and there we go. And now, because I have the distance across here, I can use that center line command because it's for a whole. It's the same on either side. So I'm going to change to my center layer. And as I told you the other day, I kind of pulled mine up over here. So I've got my center line there. You can pull yours up there too to go to the toolbar. And then you'll notice that we're not seeing the little separate or the little part. So I'm going to go to select it, go to properties. And I think we did 0.25 and there we go. Now we can see it. So it looks like a center line. I take off points if you don't fix those. Okay. So make sure you do. Okay. So I've got that in place, right? Let's go up to our top view and let's see what we've got going on up here. So we've got kind of this part, which is our foot laying down. Now we need to finish up this view here, but this is going to be a view that is going to be like elliptical because when we're looking straight down on it, we're not seeing things as their true size and shape. So we're going to go back to construction lines and we're going to project straight up these edges. So I'm going to go to my X line or my construction line. I'm going to click on this corner, go straight up. So I'm going to go in ortho mode straight up. Okay, same thing for the next one. It's right here, go straight up. Then I'm going to do it for each edge on the front, for right now on the front part of my circle and the center line. So I'm going to go here, go straight up, and then I'm going to go here and go straight up in the corner, and one more. Okay. All right. So the ones that are closer together are going to be for the ellipses, and then the ones that are further apart, I need to grab out this way. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my object line, go to line. I'm going to grab the endpoint, go perpendicular back to my edge. I'm going to grab this one to get the line, right? And then go here. There we go. And then the other edge that I'm going to see, this line right here, okay, line it up. That one right there is also going to be line, edge to edge. Okay. So as far as like that part, we've got that in place. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add the ellipse for each one of those holes. Now, their offset, if you remember, was 0.375. So I'm going to grab and I'm going to create a construction line going through this edge, because this is going to be my offset here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for a construction line off of this edge, because then I'm going to offset the construction lines rather than the geometry. So I'm going to do an offset. If you do the geometry, it's really no big deal. It'll just be easier to see what's what rather than some construction and some object lines. So I'm going to do that 0.375 from this construction line in, from this construction line in. So now these are the lines that I'm going to use, these three with this as my center for my ellipse. Okay, for my ellipse. So the first ellipse I'm going to do is going to be a visible line ellipse, because it's going to be looking down and I'm going to see these two edges. Okay. So I'm going to go to my ellipse. I'm going to go to the center of that ellipse. That's going to be my first center. I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to click, I'm going to click to the intersection of one side. Okay. And then now, oh, I'm on the construction line later. That's okay. On this view, I'm going to use, notice I'm from my radius. I need now half of 0.375, which I know to be 0.1875, enter, and it'll create that ellipse for me. Now it's not on the right layer. So all I have to do, click on it, activate it, go up here and just put it onto the object line layer. Okay, and then change to the object line layer so that your next one is going to be where it needs to be. So let's do the ellipse command again. So ellipse, it's always from the center. I'm going to grab my center, go to that construction line, one side or the other, doesn't matter because they're evenly, on here. Go to one side, and then you're going to push in one direction or other, up or down, because this is now the dimension that way. And that's going to be our radius, 0.1875. Enter. Okay. So that's the front ellipses. Okay, now I've got to get the back ellipses. The back ellipses are going to be same process, except they are going to be hidden. And they're going to be the same exact shape. So I don't need to recreate these. All I need to do is copy them to where they're going to go. So I'm going to take a construction line, and I am going to create a construction line through the center down here. And I'm going to go straight up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this ellipse and this ellipse at the same time. And from their center, I'm going to copy it to the new position. So let's do the copy command. I'm going to actually do 1 and 2, enter. And my base position is going to be from the center of either one of these ellipses. I'm going to start here, base position, and then I'm going to go to the new base position. So that's why I have the construction line there. And then I'm just going to hit enter. Okay. And then I just need to get them onto my hidden line layer by clicking on them, activating them, going up to my layers, and then just clicking on hidden and then enter. Now, those hidden lines are a little big. So we're going to update those because it doesn't really look like ellipses. So I'm going to click both of them, go to properties, and we are going to change our line scale. We'll try 0.5 to start. Looks a little better. Let's see what 0.25 looks like. That's a little close. 0.375. I think that looks good. And you just gotta kind of eyeball it, which I think does. That looks real good. Okay. Let's go back to our guide. All right. So you'll notice that we then need to connect. We need to connect those ellipses because there's edges that go there. So we're just going to stay on the hidden line layer. And we are going to go to line and this is an intersection to an intersection or perpendicular. And yeah, they're a little, I'm going to do it for all of them. And then I'll reselect and change the properties so that they all are at that 0.375, which was what we used for the ellipses. So I'm going to click, 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 and click. So I've got all 4 activated, right click, properties, and we're going to change that line type scale to 0.375. Yeah. And as you can kind of see it changes when you're there after you hit the enter key. And if you need to change it again before you close, that's totally fine. But yeah, that looks much better. Okay. So we've got the ellipses in place. As long as we've got these here, I'm going to add the center lines. We don't add center marks. We just add a line along the path, if you would. So, oopsie, did it not go? Center line, here-ish. Oh, I know why. When you're trying to grab a construction line, you actually, because you're going to be on the top of it. When you do the line command, for instance, it's going to be there, but it doesn't actually grab a point. You need to use shift, right mouse button, and use nearest, and then it'll actually grab a point. Shift, right mouse button, nearest, and you'll be on that line. You'll go something like that. Okay. Here again, we're going to have to do our scale. I'm going to do a copy so that those two are the same length. And I'm going to go from this intersection to that intersection. And then I'm going to select both of them again. They might be on the right. You might say, well, they're on the right layer, but when you print them out, they're going to look like a continuous line. Okay. And you won't know that they are center lines because they don't have the dash in there. You have to get them so that on the screen, you can see it. So I'm going to do properties again, right click properties, and we're going to go to that line type scale. 0.375 seemed to work in this view, and it does look like it's going to work. So there we go. Okay. We can see that there's dashes there, right? All right. Looks good. Now what are we going to do? If we look back, and when I first put the guide out, I left my top corners sharp. Okay. And the reason I did that was because we are going to be dimensioning this arc, if you would, or this rounded corner in this view. So you can simplify that top view if you want to, because you're really not going to be referencing it. But I had some people say, well, they wanted to see what that was going to look like. So I rounded the corners. So if you already did yours and it was to the old or the first guide that I put out there, I am not taking any points off. But let's put the ellipses in here for the corners to make it like official. And after I put them in, I'm like, yeah, it does look better, and it more represents what's there. Okay. So what we're going to do is, if we look up in the corner here, this center is the very same center that outside corner has. So we are going to create our ellipse using that. So I'm going to go back up to my object line layer, and I'm going to go to the ellipse. I'm going to grab that, make sure that you grab the intersection. Oopsie, shift right mouse button, intersection. Okay, right there. I don't think it did. Hold on. Ellipse, shift right mouse button, intersection. So what I'm doing is I'm negating any other, ones. And now I'm going to go I'm going to go over here to the shorter one, and it's going to be up to this first surface. Okay, right there. And then I'm going to go out to this surface. So I don't have to key anything in, out to that surface. Okay, so this is my rounded corner then. So now I just have to trim away the parts that I do not need. So I got to kind of come around here because it's going to stop at each one of those. Okay. And then I'm going to go here. Oopsie. Trim. Here. Oh, it's doing and then here and here. There we go. So that's one of the corners, okay? I can do the very same thing for this corner as well. So it's not a bad idea to redo that command. You could do a copy paste if you want to, or I'm sorry, just a copy and then the thickness here. But let's do the ellipse command again. Doesn't hurt to practice. So I'm going to go to the intersection, shift right mouse button, get that intersection. Then I'm going to go to the short side first and then to the long side. I don't think it matters which is which. So then I'm going to do trim. Oh, actually, I trimmed away one extra part there. I can just put it back in. It's not a big deal. Here, here. I'm going to trim away any of these parts on the inside. Yeah. Trim command is nice, but and then I'm going to extend this back. So extend, and that's extend is underneath. If you want to use the icon, it's underneath trim. Okay. But as you know, I tend to, oh, come on. Let me get rid of this. It wants to extend the, there we go. Oh, I have to get the top of it. There we go. Okay. So now that's in place. Okay. I'm going to do a mirror to the other side just to practice doing that one because we haven't done that in a while. So I'm going to do a quick save. So we have everything here. And then I'm going to mirror these two portions of the ellipse. Okay. And I'm going to do the mirror command, select. Okay. Now I need to find the center of this part, which I know is over here, right? So once I have those, I can just click the center here, and then I just need to do a horizontal line. Make sure ortho is on, and then you can hit a second point anywhere along there. That means that I'm just creating a random line, not really random, a line of symmetry to show on the other side. And then do I want to erase the source objects? No, I want them to stay in place. And then all I need to do is trim away those little parts that I don't need. So I'm going to do my trim command. So right here, here, and then don't forget about this little piece right there. Ah, the heck. I guess I got to put that other part back in. That's okay. So I'll do line, and I'll go from here to here. Went a little too far. Okay, so that's going to be your top view. I have one last feature that I need to put in all three views. One last feature, and that's going to be that gusset. Okay, so if I go back here, I've got this gusset to put in, right? So let's look at what that's going to look like. Back to AutoCAD. And dimension-wise, it starts at the very top here, and then it goes from this point 1 inch over, okay? From this point 1 inch over. So I'm going to actually start my line here, and then I'm going to just draw it going up to that corner. So I'm going to do the line command, and it wants to know my first base point. So I'm going to say snap from, okay? Oh, actually, I don't have to. My absolute 0, 0 is right here. So if I know that this is 1 inch over, I can just say start my line 1 inch over here, right? So I'm going to say 1, 0, and that's going to be from the 0, 0. Yeah. So having that 0, 0 at that corner was really handy for this one. And then I'm going to turn off my ortho and go just to this endpoint right here. Make sure you grab that endpoint and escape. And there's my gusset in the front view. Okay. Now this point right here is going to be an orthographic projection up. Okay. So I'm going to do my construction line going straight up from that intersection. Okay. And here. There we go. All right. So now that's going to be there. So this gusset is going to go from this edge all the way to there on center. So I need to grab a construction line for the center. This is easy. So I'm simply going to do a construction line right down the center right here horizontally. And now I can offset the width in either direction. Offset command. The width of that is 0.25, so 0.125 in either direction. Okay. And then my gusset is going to be, I got to do my object line layer and then my lines. It's going to go from here to here, escape. And then from here to here, escape. Now this in between, I need to trim away because that's like part of the material. So trim, I just keyed it in, I spelled it out. You can do it that way, or you can grab the icon on top. Not a hidden line in the back, okay, of this one. But I do have a hidden line because of this edge right here needs to go up. So I'm going to put a construction line. Actually, I don't need to do a construction line. We'll do a hidden line, activate that corner, and then go straight up. Oh, line, come on, there we go. Line, I'm going to grab here, and then I'm going to go perpendicular there. There we go. Oh, I need to close it down here, don't I? Object line layer, line, close, oopsie, close it down here, line. There we go. Quick save. I don't want to lose what I got. And then I need to put it back into my auxiliary view, right? I need to show it in here. So, so in this case, we are going to put our construction line back on because I need to know where it ends if it's going to in this view. So I'm going to go bless you here. I'm going to go that line right there. And I have ortho on right now. I'm going to go back to my polar snaps, and it should still have that on, and notice that it will be in that view. So I'm going to click when I get there. And now I'm going to do a hidden line across, not all the way across. It's going to be the width. So I actually have to construct it here. So to find the center here, I know that these two lines are an inch apart, right? So to find the center of the part, it's going to be a 1/2 inch offset in because I need the center. So 0.5 is my offset. I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to offset in both directions, 0.125. So offset again, 0.125. And then I'm going to go down, hidden, and I'm just going to connect those lines. So I'm going to go line, 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 line. And then back here, we're going to get rid of between. I don't know if on my guide I did. I might have missed that little line. So I'll have to take a peek and see. Oops, I see something in the chat. There we go. It kind of looks like Squidward's house. Does it? I don't know. Oh my goodness. I don't know. That's SpongeBob, isn't it? Where does it look like Squidward's house? Does it look like Squidward's house anywhere? I don't know, Ashton. You have a good, the bottom left? Okay.
It's got the nose.
His house? His house has it? Okay. I gotta look. I haven't seen SpongeBob in a long time. What do you got, Ashton? Could you repeat how to do the fillets in the top view? The fillets in the top view. Sure. All right. So repeat how to do the fillets in the top view. So I'm going to save. Okay, let me get these out. This one out of here. Okay. And I am just gonna go. Oh, there's an extra point there. I'm gonna extend this here so that it's okay, so that it's all the way to the edge. So to do this fillet, it shares the same center as this here as well. Okay, as this ellipse. So I'm going to do an ellipse. I'm going to go on my object line layer. I'm going to do an ellipse. Here it is. The center is going to be the same center here. I'm going to go up to this edge, and then I'm going to go up to the outer edge there, and then trim away the parts that you don't need. Is that what you needed, Matthew? Yes, I got it now. Cool. All right. Excellent. All right. Now, when you hand these in, remember what I said last time. Make sure that you turn off, like think of it as I know we don't have it in official drawing state yet, meaning it's not on a drawing board yet. We're coming, not on a drawing board yet. It doesn't have dimensions, but you are handing it in for a grade. So what I want you to always do is kind of get things in place. Okay. So kind of, even if you constructed views that were further apart, get them as close together kind of as possible, reasonably. Okay. So like what the distances that I have here look good, but I always want you to also turn off the construction lines. Okay. Because that's not part of your final product. Okay. So turn off your construction lines. Now save your part and then upload it to the Dropbox. Okay. So, so my expectation is that they look, oh, I did remember to get rid of that line. My expectation is that, you know, they look like, or as very close to the guide. Okay. Within reason. This is your answer key. Like, this is what you aspire for yours to look like. Okay. Any questions? Hopefully that was helpful. So we got through there. Oops, I got one other chat here. Why is the assignment 40 points? I don't know, you get an extra 10. How about that? I originally had four planned, and I didn't update the number on the assignment, and some people already handed in, so I didn't change it. That's all. So you get an extra 10 points. How about that? So if you get all three right, you get 40 out of 40. Oh, all right, good. Other questions? I have about a half hour. Are there any other problems between chapters 11 or 10 that you're interested in seeing? I'm gonna stop the recording here because then I'll put this out as its own recording.